This is the first character I made in Guild Wars 2, a thief, now a daredevil, the elite spec. I came upon this event, my favorite event in the whole game, a little bit late. It was kind of chaos, so I forgot to start my video capture, so I missed the beginning of this. But anyway, what I wanted to do here is give my assessment of the game, my overview of the game for people unfamiliar with it. I'm going to switch to my Daredevil staff here. I love the Daredevil staff. Very mobile game, you got to run around a lot. At range, you don't have to do quite as much. Melee, you really got to move around quite a lot. The avoidance of damage is much more important than healing in this game. Anyway, what I think is so great about this game, although there are things I really don't like about it, I don't like the expansion for other reasons, but that's another story. This game is the most social game I have ever found. It has the least antisocial behavior because the design of the game prevents a lot of it and encourages social behavior. And by social, I don't mean grouping up. A lot of people think, oh, a solo player, you shouldn't be playing an MMO. Antisocial, what's wrong with you? Some people want to play solo. I'm okay in group or solo. I prefer to group with people I know, friends, rather than strangers. But in this game, grouping with strangers is much better than most other games. But here's the thing, this is why. Most games, they encourage a sort of weird selfishness. Not legitimate self-interest, really, but here's how it works. In most games, the first person to hit a mob, or the first group, if you form a group or a party as they call it in Guild Wars 2, in most games, the first person or group to attack an enemy, they're the only ones to get credit for doing so. You can craft, you can make your own armor and gear in most games, things like that. And there are resources in the world that you have to harvest, collect, in order to do so. They're very often guarded by enemies. Most games, if I grab a node before you do, you've got to sit around and wait or go someplace else to find a resource, because I've taken it and you can't. Very often, they are guarded by enemies. So you want to get this resource node, for example, you have to fight the enemies. Then some scumbag comes in while you're occupied fighting and takes the resource node, runs away, and you've wasted your effort. Not true in this game. Anyone can. The respawn rate for resources are individual, so you can harvest a node the same time I am, or a second afterwards. The respawn rate is individual per player. Look at this champion here. He's going to drop a good loot bag at the end of this. Now, normally, the first person or group of people to attack this will be the only ones to gain the benefit from it. You could attack, but you wouldn't get anything for it. Not so in this game. It does not matter who attacks this champion first. Everyone who contributes benefits from it. So people want to see other people in this game. They like to have other people around. They don't have to worry that people are going to, monopolize an area, get things first. They don't try to beat people out on it. They don't care who attacks the champion first. And there's people who love to do that thing. I see it in games, and I like it when they die in the process. They'll go into an area where people need to get a lot of enemies, and they'll just run around and just start attacking everything. And often they'll die because they've hit so many things, they can't deal with so many things at first, but they love it. They love to deny people fun. They love to ruin things for others. Another thing this game does, there is no PvP in PvE areas. Very smart. You get these games with PvP that's possible in PvE areas, and what happens is people who are not really PvP players, they're not looking for competition, they look to get people flagged for PvP, they try to trick them into doing it, they try to use the exploits to get them flagged and kill them when they're unsuspecting, when they don't want to do it, they're trying to just do a quest. Not possible in this game. That is the game for some people. They don't really want PvP, they want to grief. Can't do it here. You want to do PvP, you got to go to PvP maps. And then, if you're on a PvP map, then you agree to the rules, and it's fine. But I find it really scummy when people do this, griefing of all kinds. And this game is entirely free of it. I love the open world in this game. I like this event here, one of my favorites. You get tons of players, tons of enemies. It's like a real battle, so to speak, in a game. It is very epic in its own way. And that's pretty unique in gaming to me. And like right now, I'm playing alone right now, but you can do this in a group. And there are advantages to being in a group. You do benefit more from being in a group, but you actually are not too penalized for being alone in this game too. May have to retreat here a bit. I see a lot of enemies coming. Yep. They may turn around at this point, at this stage. Yes, they are. I'm going to have to find a video of this, find an instance of this where there's more players even. It's quite a spectacle when you have just dozens of players running through here, and the events tend to scale. They will spawn more enemies too, and it's very, very unique. This can be a little bit of a dangerous area here. It's open world, so enemies will respawn after they're killed, so it may empty out and you might think you're sort of safe, so to speak, and all of a sudden you've got a bunch of enemies around you again, so you got to really watch for that. There's a lot of crowd control abilities here. These enemies have a lot of knockdown knockbacks, which are pretty bad for classes like the Elementalist, the Thief, Daredevil, the Mesmer. They're very fragile classes. I do pretty well avoiding all the damage in this game. As you can see, I've really never lost much health at all. And that's only because I'm avoiding so much damage. It's a little difficult, though. For me, I'm sure some people have maybe an even easier time than I do. It's a little hard to tell sometimes when enemies are about to do some big attack or knockdown, knockback, daze, stun. And it's primarily me. I'm not really used to that, even though I'm playing this game for years, so I mean, that's why I cope with it. But many games, they will give you a cast bar. You will see a cast bar on your screen when an enemy is about to do something big. This game doesn't have it. You have to actually read their animations, and I find it a little difficult, particularly when there's a lot of players around, which I enjoy when a lot of players around, but it complicates it because then it makes it even harder to see what the enemy's doing. But I do fairly well with it, which surprises me. This is a sort of twitchy game for an MMO, but it's a lot of fun. You'll see lots of players helping each other in this game, unlike many other games. This has another unique feature in which a player is not defeated immediately if they, how can I put it, they have what they call a down state. So before you're actually defeated, you will be in a down state where you get 4 basic abilities to try to rally, as they call it, to try to get back up. Now, you can revive a person in combat, but often it is better to attack the enemies that they were fighting, because if you can kill one of the enemies that they're fighting, that person will stand up again. They will rally. They'll have very low health, but you'll see people do this very often in this game. As I said before, it's the most social game I found. You just rarely see people ignoring other people. You always see people trying to revive other people and trying to help them out. And it's really a great environment for gaming when typically these games you have to accept that there's going to be a lot of low-life scumbag jerks. And this game is remarkably free of them. They are there, and you will see them. But they have limited ability to be jerks, and there's just not as many of them. See a dragon hunter there. Oh, these guys, these war beasts, I hate them. They have a very an immediate knockback. I'm going to go to my staff. Start working my way through these guys here. These guys have a knockback too. Almost everyone here has a knockback, knockdown. And it's crappy because if you get knocked down, you can take damage. There's nothing you can do while you're knocked down. And there's so many of them. Of course, you have stun breakers, but they're usually on a long cooldown, and you can be repeatedly knocked down. So, you know, it's almost like you break your stun, but it doesn't do any good because you're instantly stunned again and again and again. So avoiding all this is really a big deal in this game. Here's an Elementalist, another favorite class of mine. Very fragile, but very effective at high levels. Now it seems everything got cleared out here, but it will be coming back. A lot of people stick around after these events are over, because you can still continue to farm. There's Necromancer minions, those freaky, disgusting looking things that you see running around me here. Another interesting class. Some very interesting mechanics to the necromancer. You don't have to have those minions if you play a necromancer. There's several different ways you can make your character. They do have some pretty cool build variations, as they're called, in this game, to make your character play a little differently. Not every thief will be the same as every other thief. Not every elementalist will play the same as every other elementalist. And that's a kind of cool thing. Oops, she's getting stormed here. This elementalist, who really can't take much damage. Help her out here. Oh boy. There's going to be some knockbacks, I can tell. Avoid these, run around. Oops, she ate a knockdown. Yeah, it's very hard to see. I do see a lot of people take these knockdowns. I guess I'm just too paranoid, so I avoid most. You see green numbers, that's self-healing. That's when I'm healing up. I'm using a heal called Sign of Malice, which is somewhat of a compromise. It heals me as I do damage, but that's the passive effect of it. But I really have to avoid damage as much as I can, because the active effect of actually using the heal doesn't heal that much. But I found that it works pretty well for me on the Thief and Daredevil. So it's pretty much the heal I stick with for the Thief and Daredevil. Well, it's kind of emptying out here. Interest is waning in the area. So I'll probably just end it here. I just wanted to give my overview of the game. List what I think is really positive about the game and unique about it. Definitely a game worth checking out if the theme seems appealing to you, because it is quite a friendly gaming environment. So I'll end this here.